Lewis Hamilton won the sprint race in China, but was disqualified from the main race. What happened? Did Ferrari make a mistake, or was there something else going on? Stay until the end because we'll explain all the details of this scandal. Before continuing, tell me in the comments, do you think the sanction was fair or was the FIA too strict with Ferrari? Lewis Hamilton, the 7-time Formula One world champion, was disqualified from the 2025 Chinese Grand Prix after a post-race technical inspection revealed a serious technical violation on his Ferrari car. During the inspection, the FIA stewards discovered that the skid block on Hamilton's Ferrari, a crucial part of the car located on the floor of the car, was excessively worn. The skid block is a piece of hard material that protects the base of the car and helps maintain the correct height off the ground. According to Formula One regulations, this component must maintain a minimum thickness of 9 mm. However, in Hamilton's case, measurements indicated that the thickness was only 8.6 mm on the left side, 8.6 mm on the center line, and 8.5 mm on the right side, which is below the minimum allowed. The Ferrari team, after being confronted with the findings, admitted that the infraction was due to an error in calculating skid block wear during the race. According to Ferrari, the engineers made a small margin of error in estimating the wear of the part throughout the competition. This type of technical error is especially serious in a sport like Formula One, where the margins between legal and illegal performance are incredibly small and strict. Although Ferrari insisted there was no intention to gain an illegal aerodynamic advantage, the FIA rules are clear. Any infringement of technical components is severely penalized, regardless of the team's intent. Hamilton's disqualification is not the first time the British driver has faced a penalty for issues related to skid block wear. In fact, this marks the third disqualification of Hamilton's career for similar infractions, following incidents at the 2009 Australian Grand Prix and the 2023 United States Grand Prix, when he was racing for Mercedes. This background reinforces the idea that, although errors can be human, teams must have extremely precise control over the technical components of their cars to avoid these types of problems. Hamilton's disqualification had an immediate impact on the Chinese Grand Prix standings, where he had initially finished in 6th place, just behind his teammate Charles Leclerc. Following the disqualification, the official result was amended and Hamilton was eliminated from the points standings. Furthermore, this infraction also affected Ferrari in the Constructors Championship, as the points they would have earned in the standings disappeared. The penalty was particularly painful for Hamilton, as he had shown promising performances throughout the weekend, including his victory in Saturday's sprint race, which generated high expectations for Sunday's main race. The disqualification therefore not only deprived Hamilton of vital points in the fight for the championship, but also dashed Ferrari's hopes of establishing itself as one of the most competitive teams of the season. Lewis Hamilton's disqualification from the 2025 Chinese Grand Prix had significant consequences for both the Drivers' and Constructors' Championships, both for him and for Ferrari. By losing the points he could have earned for his 6th-place finish, Hamilton suffered a considerable setback in his title fight. After a 2024 season in which Ferrari showed promising performance, the disqualification was an unexpected blow, especially considering the positive start for Hamilton, who had achieved his first sprint race victory with Ferrari the day before. This victory had raised hopes that the partnership between Hamilton and the Italian team could have been a key factor in challenging Max Verstappen and Red Bull, but the technical infringement made it clear that, despite Hamilton's talent, Ferrari still has work to do to ensure its car complies with F1's strict regulations. As for the Constructors' Championship, Hamilton's disqualification and that of Charles Leclerc, who was excluded for failing to meet minimum weight requirements, further worsened Ferrari's championship situation. Ferrari had been struggling to stay in contention with McLaren, Mercedes, and Red Bull, but the loss of points in this Grand Prix was a huge missed opportunity. While the season is still young, Ferrari couldn't afford to let points slip away in a key event, especially when other teams like McLaren and Mercedes were already racking up valuable points. As the season progresses, these mistakes could mean the difference between being a serious contender for championships or being relegated to a secondary fight. As for Ferrari's direct rivals, McLaren, led by Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris, took advantage of this opportunity to further establish itself as one of the strongest teams for the 2025 season. Piastri, who finished as the winner of the Chinese Grand Prix after the disqualifications of Hamilton and Leclerc, scored crucial points for McLaren, which had already been showing impressive form with its car. This result allowed McLaren to maintain a considerable lead over Ferrari in the constructors' standings, consolidating its position at the top of the table and demonstrating that they are a team to be reckoned with for the rest of the year. Furthermore, Mercedes, with George Russell in strong form, also benefited from the disqualification of the Ferrari drivers, closing in on the Italian team in the standings. On the other hand, Hamilton's disqualification also had an impact on his rivalry with Max Verstappen, who remains the overwhelming favorite for the title, with Red Bull dominating the season. Although Verstappen didn't directly benefit from Hamilton's exclusion in terms of points, Hamilton's absence from the championship fight affected the competitive balance. The title battle could become even more one-sided if Ferrari can't overcome its technical difficulties and start delivering consistent results. The lack of points at a key event like the Chinese Grand Prix could be crucial, as the upcoming races will be pivotal in determining who truly has the ability to challenge Red Bull for the Drivers' and Constructors' Championships. In short, the consequences of Hamilton's disqualification not only affected his championship position but also jeopardized Ferrari's aspirations in both championships. The Italian team was forced to review its technical and verification processes, while its direct competitors took full advantage of the opportunity to gain ground. Although the season still has many races left, Hamilton's disqualification is a reminder of how strict the Formula One rules are and how difficult it is to stay on top in such an intensely technical and competitive competition. Lewis Hamilton's disqualification from the 2025 Chinese Grand Prix wasn't the only blow Ferrari suffered that weekend, as the Italian team faced a double disqualification in the same race. In addition to Hamilton, his teammate Charles Leclerc was also excluded from the official results due to a technical violation related to the weight of his car. In Leclerc's case, the car was found to be 1 kilogram under the regulatory minimum weight at the time of the post-race inspection. This violation was due to a strategic and technical error by the Ferrari team. During the race, Leclerc had adopted a one-stop strategy, resulting in excessive tire wear and ultimately a reduction in the car's weight, leaving it below the permitted limit. Ferrari, in explaining the situation, admitted that it had not properly calculated the impact of tire wear on the car's final weight. This error, although not as serious as Hamilton's in terms of technical specifications, left Ferrari in an even more compromised position, as Leclerc's disqualification also deprived the team of crucial points in the fight for the Constructors' Championship. What makes this situation even more impressive is that, for the first time in Formula One history, both Ferrari cars were disqualified in the same race, a fact that marks a negative episode in the team's recent history. The disqualification of both drivers represents a great loss for both the team and the fans, as, before the penalties, Hamilton had finished in 6th place and Leclerc in 5th, which would have allowed them to score important points in a very competitive championship. With the revised race result, McLaren and Mercedes benefited greatly from the situation, gaining positions in the overall standings at the expense of Ferrari, which, in its attempt to establish itself as a title contender, suffered a severe blow. Ferrari, aware of the impact these penalties had on its campaign, issued a statement in which it took full responsibility for the technical errors committed during the weekend. In its statement, the team emphasized that there was no intention to gain an illegal competitive advantage, explaining that Hamilton's disqualification was due to a miscalculation of skid block wear and Leclerc's due to an underestimation of tire wear. This double setback not only affected Ferrari's performance in China but also left the team with many questions to answer regarding its scrutineering and preparation procedures ahead of the upcoming races. The double disqualification was not only a blow to the team but also to Ferrari fans, who had hoped for a significant improvement this season with Hamilton's arrival. The fact that both drivers were involved in technical issues in the same race underscores how crucial it is for an F1 team to maintain pinpoint precision in all aspects of preparation and execution during the race weekend. Ferrari will need to conduct a thorough review of its internal processes, ensuring that these errors are not repeated in future races, as every point counts in such a competitive season. The situation also highlighted once again how unpredictable and challenging Formula One is, where the most prepared teams are often the ones that manage to stay at the top, while any small slip-up can have disastrous consequences. Lewis Hamilton's disqualification from the 2025 Chinese Grand Prix, along with the double penalty that affected Ferrari, left a significant mark on the season and brought with it several important lessons for the team and Formula One in general. For Ferrari, this series of events has highlighted the importance of technical precision in all aspects of its car preparation. Hamilton's disqualification due to excessive skid block wear and Leclerc's exclusion due to a weight management error are stark reminders that, in Formula One, the margins are extremely small and any oversight, no matter how small, can be costly. The double disqualification not only deprived Ferrari of crucial points in the Constructors' Championship, but also called into question the team's ability to compete at the highest level in 2025, despite fielding drivers of the caliber of Hamilton and Leclerc. If Ferrari wants to maintain its title aspirations, it will need to review and adjust its technical procedures, particularly regarding car calibration and race strategy. On the other hand, Hamilton, who had been optimistic after his sprint race victory and had performed solidly in qualifying, has added a layer of frustration to his season. The disqualification was a severe blow, not only because he lost valuable points in the championship fight, but because this penalty reinforces the perception that technical errors can arise at any time, even when the driver feels comfortable and confident in his car. Despite this setback, Hamilton and Ferrari must learn from this incident and work harder to prevent a similar occurrence. The 2025 season is still far from over, and both Hamilton and Ferrari have plenty of time to redeem themselves and make up for lost ground. But to do so, they will need to ensure their cars meet the strictest regulations and maintain a more rigorous approach to every aspect of their preparation. In terms of the championship, Ferrari's disqualification benefits its direct rivals, especially McLaren and Mercedes, who took advantage of this opportunity to advance in the standings and strengthen their place at the top of the table. McLaren, with Piastri and Norris, looked particularly strong, with Piastri securing victory in China, further reinforcing the impression that the Woking team is in for a season of improvement. Mercedes also consolidated its position, with George Russell delivering a solid and consistent performance. For Ferrari, the competition has intensified, and this stumble could be a significant factor in its fight for the constructors' and drivers' titles as the season progresses. As we approach the next races, the key for Ferrari will be to learn from these mistakes, make the necessary adjustments, and above all, regain confidence in its ability to compete at the highest level. With the Drivers' and Constructors' Championships at stake, any mistake can be costly, and Ferrari needs to maximize every opportunity. In short, the 2025 Chinese Grand Prix marked a critical turning point for the team and its aspirations, but it's also a wake-up call for the entire team to redouble their efforts and focus on what really matters: technical preparation, race consistency, and the ability to quickly adapt to any situation. If you found this analysis of Hamilton's disqualification and the implications for Ferrari in 2025 interesting, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more Formula One content. Give it a like if you think Ferrari can recover from this setback, and leave your comments about what you think awaits them in the upcoming races. Also, if you enjoyed the video, share it with your fellow F1 fans so we can continue discussing what's happening this season together. See you in the next video, where we'll be closely following every event that will make a difference in this exciting Formula One season.